Chapter 32 The Last Pieces. As difficult as it was for her to part ways with Aghanim, even for a short time, Miranda knew that her part of the plan to finally free Zelda was probably the most important of all. Checking her compass to make sure that she was going the right way, she stayed in the shadows as she headed down the first corridor. Something was wrong, though. The last time she had been there, the whole fortress had been swarming with Ganondorf's minions, but this time the place was practically empty. Not that she was complaining, since this made it a lot easier for her to sneak around, but now the place was just creepy. Turning down torchlit hall after torchlit hall, Miranda was thankful that her cousin had sent her the compass along with that letter, or else it would have been very easy for her to get lost in this place. It was a maze of identical tunnels that led her through identical rooms, but still the compass led her onward, as she went up and down staircases, taking her deeper and deeper into Spectacle Rock. Now that she was starting to grasp just exactly how big this place was, she was thankful that all the previous occupants were gone, since it could have taken weeks to fight her way through them, even to get this far. "Come on, where did he put you?" she whispered to herself, turning down another corridor. "How would he even remember how to get all the way back here?" Heading down another staircase, Miranda noticed that the movements of the compass were getting narrower, meaning that she had to be getting close. But then she looked up and gasped, jumping out of the way as what looked like a giant spectral hand came floating towards her with fingers outstretched. It closed into a fist, trying to grab her as it flew past, and then it turned and vanished when it flew right into the wall. "What in the world?" she whispered, staring at the wall. Honestly, she had never seen anything like that before, and for the longest time she just stood there staring at the wall as if waiting to see if it was going to come back. The area around her was quiet now, so she decided to move on, but then had to drop down to the floor to avoid getting grabbed when the hand came floating out of the wall behind her. It continued across the hall, again vanishing into the next wall that it touched. This time, there was no break before it reappeared, this time coming up through the floor, and making her have to do a forward roll to avoid it. As always, the hand continued on its way, vanishing through the ceiling, and now Miranda knew that she had to run. Taking off and sprinting down the corridor, she had to dodge, jump, and sometimes slide right underneath the hand to avoid getting grabbed, while also trying to follow the compass. She didn't know what the hand was or why it was trying to grab her, but what she did know was that she didn't like the idea of it pulling her through the wall. The hand was getting faster now, and its approach patterns were becoming more unpredictable, as if it was trying to find new ways of catching her, so Miranda had to try new approaches as well. She had to use cartwheels and backward handsprings to avoid it now, as well as using her hookshot for quick escapes. For a while, this worked, but the hand was now reappearing faster as well, and then it got her. Jumping out of the way to avoid it from the ceiling, the hand immediately came at her from behind, gripping her tightly as its spectral fingers closed around her body. Thankfully, her arms were still free, and she was able to launch the hookshot into the opposite wall, stopping it in its tracks. The grip on her tightened more as it tried to pull her into the wall, but the grapple on her hookshot held, and there was really only one thing that Miranda could do at this point. She raised up her free hand and slammed her fist down on its thumb as her bracelet pulsed. She wasn't sure if it would do anything, being that she could see right through the thing, but it did work. There was a bony crack, and its thumb bent backwards as a result of the blow, and then the grip around her body released. She fell to the floor as it continued toward the wall until it vanished within, and she expected it to reappear, but this time, it didn't. She got to her feet and retracted the hookshot while continuously looking around, but it appeared the hand had gone. Hopefully, a broken thumb would teach it not to grope a lady without permission, she thought with a slight chuckle, and then she checked the compass again. Somehow, with all the running around and the different paths she had to take in order to avoid getting grabbed, she had still managed to get closer to the missing Triforce pieces. Hopefully, she was pretty close to them now, and this was confirmed when she descended one last staircase and found what she was looking for. Sitting there on a pedestal in the center of the room were two chests, each with the emblem of the royal family on top. Sighing with relief, and thinking that it had been both easier and harder than she had thought to find them, Miranda started into the room. Suddenly something moved. It came across the room from the corner at incredible speeds, causing her to reflexively jump backwards, but not before something sharp made her yelp as it cut across her arm. Miranda stumbled back into the doorway and fell on her rear, cradling her arm as the object stopped moving just past the door. It looked like a block, made of the same material as the walls and floor, but it was somehow mobile, and there were long sharp spikes on all sides, one of which had some of her blood on it. Apparently it had reached the range of its motion, since now it was slowly retracting into the corner. In fact, it was moving so slowly now that it gave her an idea. Was it possible that it had to retract all the way before attacking again? Or would it simply get her if she stepped back in its path? Deciding to risk it, she carefully stepped out of the doorway and was pleasantly surprised when the spike block just kept retracting. The trap was probably designed to kill in a single strike, and this flaw allowed her to walk right up to the chests. Like the others, they instantly opened for her, since she was a female member of the royal family, and there they were, the last two pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom. Miranda could barely contain her excitement as she picked up the pieces, and they neatly fit together, fusing into a single unit when she held them close enough. For a moment, she wondered what kind of magic Zelda had used to separate them in the first place, but this could wait until after she had been rescued. Putting the Triforce piece into the largest pocket of her cloak, she turned around and was trying to figure out the best way to get past the trap again, when her thoughts stopped as the spectral hand reappeared. It came out of the floor right where she was standing, its fingers wrapped around her, pinning her arms to her sides and lifting her off her feet before she could do anything. With great speed, it carried her upward, into the ceiling, and then everything went dark for a second before she was surrounded by a different kind of light. It took a second for her eyes to adjust, but then she realized that it was sunlight that she was seeing, as the hand carried her away from another wall. It then dropped her roughly, making Miranda groan as she slid to a stop across the rocky terrain. The hand returned to the wall as quickly as it had appeared, and Miranda was confused as to what had just happened. That is, until she looked up and saw a familiar-looking balcony above her, and she couldn't help letting out some kind of pained laughter as she finally realized what had happened. It had taken her back to where she had first entered Spectacle Rock, and that would have been horrible if it had done this when it first appeared, but now that she had all the Triforce pieces, the hand had actually helped her along. "Lady Miranda!" a familiar voice exclaimed before Impa came into view. "Lady Miranda, what happened? Are you injured?"
"Nothing serious, Impa,"
she replied, groaning as she sat up.
"But I got them. Got the last pieces of the Triforce."
Taking the fused pieces out of her pocket, Miranda held it close to the ones that the old woman carried, and then there was a brilliant flash of green light as they all fused together into a shimmering pyramid. This was it. They had finally assembled the Triforce of Wisdom, and now it could be used to defeat Ganondorf and the Triforce of Power.
"I thank you, dear Miranda,"
it said in a soft female voice.
"There was wisdom in Zelda's plan to keep me safe, but I was distressed to have myself divided in such a way." "You are quite welcome,"
Miranda replied.
"But right now we need your help. Ganondorf has been made nearly invincible by the Triforce of Power, and you are the only one who can defeat it."
"The fate of the whole kingdom is at stake," Impa added. "As much as I hate to say it, the Triforce of Power must be destroyed if we are to defeat Ganondorf and save Princess Zelda."
No, my friends, no,"
the Triforce answered.
"I do not desire, nor do I have the strength to destroy the Triforce of Power. I understand that you are frightened, and that you are weary from your long quest, but I assure you that violence is not the answer. Take me to him, and I will show you a better way."
The green pyramid fell silent, and as much as Miranda disagreed with its advice, she was about to follow it when she realized that they had another problem. The balcony was too high up for her to use the hookshot, meaning that the only way to get in was to use the front gate. But it was so far away, and it had been correct in saying that she was really tired. So tired that it was tempting to take a rest.
"Nothing worthwhile is easy, Miranda,"
the Triforce continued.
"Your friends are counting on you, and everything will turn out all right in the end. You'll see."
"I hope you're right," Miranda replied as she started carrying it towards the distant front gate.